The first time the name Garden of Venus reached her ears, it carried no beauty. In Rome, names were instruments. This one was used to soften what could not be defended. It was whispered in atriums and behind curtains. It was spoken without detail, because detail was unnecessary. Everyone knew what returned from that place, and what did not. Flavia sat near the columns of her father's house, the fountain beside her breathing out tepid water. The wax tablet on her lap felt heavier than it should. Her eyes followed the grooves of the letters, but meaning slipped away as soon as voices passed through the space behind her. 2 guests were leaving the triclinium. Their words were low, careless, already turning toward the next subject. The emperor had asked again, not for gold, for daughters. One man said it as if repeating a market price. The other answered with a nod, nothing more. Flavia did not need to look at them to understand. Her father's debts had grown quietly, like weeds in stone cracks. Lately, he returned home pale, quieter than before. Now, a different kind of weight had settled around his neck, one that tightened not on property, but on young bodies. Her gaze fell to the fountain. The surface of the water held her reflection for a moment. A face that still believed there were limits a father would never cross. Something colder rose beneath her ribs. In Rome, limits existed only until power pressed against them. The night before, the Saturnalia filled the house with light. Lamps burned in every corridor, yet the air felt hollow. Flavia stood behind a curtain and watched her father speak with a man in a green cloak she had never seen before. He was neither senator nor soldier. His smile was too practiced, too certain. Her father's hands were clasped as if in prayer. His eyes were dry. The emperor does not forget those who delay their gratitude, the man said calmly. The word gratitude hung in the room like incense, sweet, suffocating. The man gestured, not even bothering to look directly at where Flavia stood. Her presence was already accounted for. The decision had been made elsewhere. Her father turned. Their eyes met through the thin fabric. There was no resistance in his expression, no comfort, only calculation worn smooth by exhaustion. In that moment, Flavia understood that her voice no longer existed in this house. Only her body remained useful. Morning arrived too quietly. Servants moved as if the floor itself were fragile. Flavia sat at a small table, hands folded in her lap, waiting for bread and olives. They never came. Instead, her father stood in the doorway. He wore a formal tunic, the kind reserved for the Senate. There was no oil on his skin. "Flavia," he said, "today you will go to the palace. The emperor wishes to know the daughters of families loyal to his rule." The words were rehearsed. Between them, everything else spoke. There was no choice. Refusal had no language. She rose slowly, as if her body belonged to someone else. He did not touch her. He did not bless her. He turned to the window, where a litter bearing the golden eagle already waited. Cold spread through her, not as shock, but as a steady rise, like water creeping up walls. Inside, she repeated a single thought. She was not going to death, only to a garden. The journey to the Palatine should have taken less than an hour. For Flavia, time stretched and lost shape. The fabric above the litter filtered light into thin bands that slid across her face like cold fingers. Each sway carved itself into her body. Hooves, wheels, laughter, a child crying, Rome continuing as if nothing irreversible was happening. When the litter stopped, a man's voice announced another gift for the emperor. The reply followed instantly, for the glory of Rome. She closed her eyes. She imagined water, shade, flowers. The image refused to stay clean. Figures lingered at its edges, watching, leaving no place to hide. When the curtain lifted, marble flooded her vision. The Garden of Venus was not dark. It was built to be dazzling. Columns carved with reliefs, statues of goddesses meant to guard love or mock it. The air smelled of rose oil and wine. 2 eunuchs took her arms and guided her across the polished floor. In its reflection, she saw other girls, younger, older, leaning against stone. Their eyes were empty, but alert. No one spoke. This silence was not calm. It was anticipation. At the end of the colonnade, the hall opened wide. Rows of men in colored togas turned as one, as if an animal had been brought in. The chill along her spine deepened. From this moment, she would never again be simply a senator's daughter. Caligula didn't sit on a throne. He reclined, relaxed, as if attending a performance he had arranged himself. A green cloak, edged with gold, fell from his shoulders. A short staff rested in his hand. His smile held something boyish and something unbound, as if limits had never existed for him. "Daughter of Senator Flavius," the eunuch announced. The hall stilled. Torches cracked softly. The emperor's gaze traveled her body with care, not searching for a person, but for proportion, for display. "Rome is generous when generosity is properly offered," he said. Laughter followed, smooth and unified. No one touched her. No command for violence came. She stood alone while dozens of men imagined what could be done. Her breath shortened. That was all that moved. They led her away to a smaller chamber filled with fabric and jewelry. The women waiting there wore rings and styled hair, wives and daughters of other houses. One older woman met Flavia's eyes briefly. Pity flickered, then disappeared. "You will not wear your family's colors here," she said. "You will wear what pleases the emperor." The garments were arranged without threat, without anger. A belt tightened her waist. Thin cloth left skin exposed to the air. The design was precise, not vulgar, made to say, "This body is meant to be seen." In polished bronze, she saw herself transformed, beautiful, elevated, reduced. When she returned to the hall, the space had been prepared like a theater. There was no stage, only empty ground at the center. Silence fell, measuring her. The first rope descended almost invisibly. The eunuchs worked with ritual calm. Her wrists were bound. The rope burned, but that was not what frightened her. It was the slowness, the patience. Her feet lifted from the marble. A murmur passed through the hall. Her shoulders stretched. Pain waited ahead, promised but not yet delivered. They were not waiting for screams. They were waiting for change. Later, she was moved deeper into the palace, a labyrinth of columns and courtyards they called the garden. Women stood or knelt in shadow. No one cried. Time was the instrument here. "The worst is not the first night," a voice whispered beside her. "The worst is when you understand it can happen every day." At night, guards came, one woman at a time. Sometimes they returned, sometimes not. Flavia learned that uncertainty was the sharpest tool. Days passed in controlled gestures, in standing while others sat, in hands adjusting fabric as if inspecting goods. Her name dissolved inside her. Once, they gave her a tablet. "Write to your father. Tell him of the honor." She wrote carefully. Between lines, a childhood signal. Whether he understood did not matter. It mattered that someone might. A younger girl arrived one day. Their eyes met. Flavia leaned close and whispered, not to close them, to stay present. It was all she had left to give. When the girl disappeared, something inside Flavia fractured quietly. One day, nothing happened. No summons, no games. She waited, tense, imagining everything that might come. By nightfall, she understood the cruelty. Fear had been allowed to live without release. When soldiers finally came, they led her to a terrace overlooking Rome. The city lay calm, untouched. She did not know if she would return home. She knew this much. Rome would remember Caligula's name. It would forget hers. But her suffering was the cost beneath its glory.